What is emu oil? I touched on this subject in an earlier video on the omega-3s, but I decided to make a separate video on emu oil. An emu is a flightless bird native to Australia, but it is now found in many countries because of a rising popularity of nutritious emu meat and medicinal emu oil. Emu oil is a bright yellow liquid made up of mostly fat, which is collected from the deposits below the skin of the bird. It is a widely available commercial product that may have some unique benefits. The use of emu oil originates from the Australian Aborigine culture. According to their oral history, emu oil has been used for over 40,000 years. The oil has been used to relieve minor aches and pains, help wounds heal quicker, and protect skin from the elements. The native Australians first introduced emu oil into European culture as a natural sunscreen and moisturizer. European settlers soon adopted the use of emu oil and many other natural remedies that the native Australians provided. Since then, people have attributed many more benefits to emu oil. The most popular benefit of emu oil is its use as an anti-inflammatory. It also contains compounds that have antioxidant properties. This is from the Weston Price Foundation. I will leave the link in the description. Emu oil, the best fat you've never heard of. It has helped bring relief from joint pain, asthma, vision issues, Lyme's disease, heart conditions, digestive problems, wrinkles, and more. What is it exactly? It's emu oil, the best fat you've never heard of. Emu oil is a superfood of sorts, rich in vitamin K2 and MK4. On today's episode, Dr. Will Schlinzog and Dr. Sylvia Onusik explain the many benefits of emu oil. They discuss emu oil's anti-inflammatory properties, what makes it a fantastic source of vitamin K2 and MK4, the activator X that Dr. Price often spoke of. And now it can be used topically and internally to improve your health. They also relate many anecdotes of people and even animals who have had promising responses to this unique fat. You will certainly be intrigued about this beneficial, heretofore overlooked fat. Give a listen. It may be just the thing your body needs to restore your health.
Some of the things that emu oil is known for.
Well, it's highly anti-inflammatory. It's used primarily for arthritis in Australia. But as you well know, all disease starts with an inflammatory process. But we know now that the study that they did, the Australian government using our emu oil from our farmers, that it restored the villi and deepened the crypts, healed the gut basically after it was damaged through mucositis-induced chemotherapy. They used chemotherapy to damage the rat's guts, and it restored the guts. So not only is it highly anti-inflammatory, but it repairs and restores the gut, so the gut works like it should. And I believe that's a big part of why our oil works for a lot of different things. And I don't know of any other supplement, as you know, that could do all those combination of things. So it's special in that way. It's kind of a superfood superstar in the nutrition food category. Let's not call it a supplement. Let's call it a food category.
Now, how is emu oil different from other fats?
Our oil is different because of the type of breed of birds that it comes from. It's different because of what they feed them, because they keep them on their traditional diet, if you will. And then the way it is rendered is a process that was passed down from the Aboriginals. It's a proprietary process, but the main thing I can tell you is that it is a very low heat process, not to destroy the long, and different because, it's like a hibernating fat. The male bird sits on the eggs for 54 days and doesn't eat or drink, doesn't get up from that spot, basically. So, there's animals that hibernate, but they aren't actually doing a job. They are actually slumbering. This bird is actually doing a job. It's incubating the eggs for 54 days. The male sits on the eggs, so it lives on this fat. So it has everything you need, basically, to stay alive.
That's why you call it a life-sustaining fat.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, do you actually raise these birds then? Are the birds wild? How does that work?
Well, no, they are not wild. They're raised on a few farms in Australia. There's 4 farms that are involved currently. There used to be 3. They've got 4 of them now, and they've come together. There used to be 2,200 farms in Australia. Now there are 20. 16 of them kind of went in the direction of raising them like turkeys, big fat, feed them anything you can to make them, big and plump. And these guys kind of went in a genetics direction to get a stronger bird that makes stronger oil. The genotype comes from the outback. So those birds, they get 3 to 5 days of rain in the outback, and they live year round out in the outback. But we brought that genetics from the outback basically to these farms. If that makes any sense to you? I'm pretty sure it does, hopefully.
Yeah, no, it does. And I'm just trying to picture. So you decided to raise your birds differently. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, it's sustainable. There's no chemicals, there's no pesticides, there's no herbicides, there's no vaccinations allowed on the farm. And the great thing about it is the oil that we get from there, it's a complex food matrix, and it's one of the highest naturally occurring sources of vitamin K2, MK4. And as I'm sure you know, that vitamin K2, MK4 is thought to be Dr. Weston Price's Activator X.
That's right. And how does that K2, MK4 compare to what's found in butter oil?
Good question. We tell people every batch gets tested. And this is going to sound crazy, but when we started in this, we didn't know that it had vitamin K2 in it. But now every batch that we get sent from a year's worth of production gets sent to us. We get it tested, and it was between 39 and 4,400 nanograms per gram. We have results that are higher than that, but it puts it somewhere between 15 and 20 times more vitamin K2, MK4 than ghee or butter, basically.
Sylvia, thank you for joining us now. I want to ask you about something. We talked just briefly with Will a moment ago, and he mentioned Activator X. Can you go into, first of all, what is Activator X, and then what is the connection between that and emu oil and the vitamins we've been discussing?
Thank you, Hilda, for inviting me. I'd be glad to talk about that subject, especially Weston Price, near and dear to my heart. Also, you can read more about this on walkabout.healthproducts.com, where I just wrote a blog about it. But Dr. Weston Price, as many people know, was a brilliant researcher. He traveled the world studying native populations, but back at home, he was studying various vitamins, which were just being discovered at the beginning of the 1900s. And he already knew about vitamin A and vitamin D, sort of vitamin D, because it was still being, vitamin D2 was discovered first, then D3. So he was working with that as well. But he, in his laboratory, he had animals that he tested, rabbits and rats and so on. He worked with them with butter oil, and a lot of his little animal subjects were developed, they actually improved. And then he went on to use butter oil with children. He was a dentist. And at that time was the Depression, and there was very poor diets, and there were very poor diets and so on. So, he treated patients, and he mainly worked with nutrition. Of course, at that time they didn't have many pharmaceuticals to work with. And he saw cavities healing. He saw skull structures of people improving. He even worked with a Mongoloid boy and helped him to have a normal life. So he did a lot of work with butter oil, but he wasn't really quite sure what it was in the butter oil that was bringing about these incredible results. And he knew by process of elimination, no, it wasn't D, no, it wasn't A. So he wrote a book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. And the second copy of the book in 1945, I believe it was published, he added a chapter on Activator X. And he never really named Activator X, but he knew it was an activator of the other fat-soluble vitamins like for vitamin A or vitamin D. He knew that you needed this activator to put them into action, in other words, in the body. Also, he wasn't familiar with vitamin E yet. So he called everything, that substance, activator X.
I see. So it kind of made sure the body could access A and D.
Right. It improved the access. It worked with it, and that's what he meant by activator X.
And this activator X is found in emu oil.
Yes. The thing is, butter oil contains high levels of vitamin K2. But vitamin K2 has basically 13 different members that have been isolated. They're called menaquinone. And butter oil contains menaquinone 4, which is the bioactive form in the body. When you look at research on PubMed, which is the National Library of Medicine website, mostly all the studies are talking about MK4, menaquinone 4 working in the body. And when we tested butter oil and ghee, we found that it only contained MK4.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually MK4 is the activator X that Dr. Price found. We finally could put a name to it.
MK4.
Yeah, menaquinone 4, yes.
Oh, interesting.
And that is what's contained in certain emu oils, like Walkabout Emu Oil. It has high levels of MK4.
I thought activator X was just vitamin K, but you're saying it's MK4. What's the difference there?
Well, I'm saying it's MK4 because it's based on the butter oil that Weston Price used, and our testing results would show there's only MK4. Now, vitamin K2 has basically two parts. That's what I was kind of alluding to before I got a little tripped up on the MKs.
Okay.
Vitamin K1, which is just from plants, it's in green grass, and vitamin K2, which is the menaquinones from MK4 to MK13. MK4 is the only one not a product of bacterial synthesis, and the rest of them are produced by bacteria, either in a culture that you can put into cheese to make that particular bacteria, which does the work and makes the cheese. And the bacteria in our body do make their own menaquinones, but that's for their own use. The body doesn't have access to that. It seems like the body makes menaquinone 4, or you can actually get it through foods, like the emu oil, goose liver, butter, ghee, organ meats, those kinds of things. They're high in natural MK4, menaquinone 4.
But chances are we're not getting enough.
And the problem is that's the very issue there, because since the 60s, we've been on a diet of no cholesterol, no saturated fat, low-fat foods. So I would assume, and I've seen much research that asserts that Americans are very deficient in vitamin K2, menaquinone 4.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Tell us your own experience with emu oil and what effects you saw in your own body from it.
Well, basically, I take it internally and topically, and right away I noticed topically, I put it on my face, I put it on burns. If I have an injury, it's very healing. It's it's a very nice cream for the face. And, it's not polluted with all kinds of chemicals. I really like it for that purpose. And I just feel that it's like any other food substance. You feel better when you take it. It is a food. It's not a supplement made in the lab. So that's why it's kind of so unique. So to me, anyway, looking around for a source of MK4, because that's the one that you want to put into your diet. If not by food and emu oil, then all you have left is the synthetic version, which is not at all like the natural version that's in food.
Vitamin D deficiency is a very common problem today. Many people don't realize that they should be eating more vitamin D foods. If you're unaware whether your diet provides enough vitamin D or not, then you're likely not eating enough. These foods are quite rare and have to be sourced properly. Chronic diseases are often associated with low vitamin D. Don't put yourself at risk. Make the simple changes to your meals today. Is your diet providing enough vitamin D? If you suffer any of the following problems, you should consider eating more vitamin D-rich foods. Tooth decay, bleeding gums and gum disease, irritable bowel disease or other digestive conditions, autoimmune conditions, type 2 diabetes, snoring, teeth grinding or sleep apnea, arthritis, sore joints, back and neck pain, brain fog, dementia, Alzheimer's disease. 5 reasons to eat more vitamin D-rich food sources. Our modern diets have stripped many of the best dietary sources of vitamin D foods. A recent study of Russian traditional populations showed that when they eat the modern diet, vitamin D intake decreases as well as vitamin D levels. It concluded, the modernized way of life has led to a decrease in the consumption of traditional foods among the indigenous people of the Russian Arctic. Why are vitamin D-rich diets so rare today? 1. It wasn't until recently that we began to understand that vitamin D is synthesized by exposure to the sun. 2. Strong bones and teeth need vitamin D. The osteoimmune system is hungry for vitamin D to control hormonal signaling for our bones and immune system. 3. Vitamin D deficiency is thought to increase the risk of tooth decay and gum disease. 4. Low-fat diets have stripped vitamin D from the diet. The trend in the last 50 years to eat low-fat foods. 5. Vitamin D is linked to many chronic diseases including digestive, autoimmune, and mental conditions. The vitamin D diet plan. 6 rich vitamin D food sources: salmon and fatty fish, beef liver, cod liver oil, ghee, and emu oil. Here is one you may not have heard of. Indigenous Australians treasured the mature back fat of emus because of its healing and nourishing properties. Emu oil has the added benefit of being a vitamin D-rich food source and provide vitamin K2. Then of course you have the egg yolks. Grass-raised chickens to produce eggs that contain vitamin D3. And it's important to know that vitamin D is only found in the yolk. I talked about this in the previous video on omega-3. Look after yourself and order some emu oil. Especially now. Noraget Gaudas has written about emu oil in her book Primal Fat Burner. I highly recommend this book. Even though I am not a paleo eater because my body needed something else, and my body does not do so well with the plant foods. But there is a lot of very good information about the necessity to eat animal fats. And Noraget Gaudas explains it very well. So, now as you have time to read during the holidays, you can take a look at this book if you like. Emu oil deserve your awe, and why we should all be extremely interested in the unique nutritional profile of their body oil. The composition of emu oil is uniquely rich in fat-soluble nutrients. But Walkabout Health Products Emu Oil is literally the richest natural source of the form of vitamin K2 our ancestors evolved consuming. The only form of vitamin K2 found in the human brain. The form of vitamin K2 most naturally designed to beneficially synergize the effects of true vitamin A, retinol, and vitamin D3, and is the form of vitamin K that is most critical to your physical cognitive health, as chances are you do not get enough of in your daily diet. Yeah, so again, do yourself something good and buy some Emu Oil supplements. I've been taking it now for about a month, for the omega-3 reason mainly, but then I have learned so much about it by now I wanted to share it in this video.